So Elena, how are you?
Doing good. Thank you so much for asking. And thank you for having me.
Oh no, thank you for taking time out of your day to talk with us. Now
Absolutely.
there's a lot going on, obviously. So before we jump into that, um, when do you, as a band, know when it's time to start on a new album? Because you toured the previous one, and then there's a switch where you go from one album
Yeah.
cycle to the other. When did that happen this time?
I think it's always it depends on the band itself. It depends of the plans of the band, and it also depends a lot on people that are in the team with the band, like behind the curtains, you know.
Sure.
So in our case, so far, we just like to keep um, always the new material coming, and we love to give to people an album every 2 years. I don't think so far we ever broke that ritual.
Mhm.
I feel like it is a fair time to give people to enjoy an album. 2 years of, shows, 2 years of promotion, 2 years of falling in love with a certain album before you actually get into the second. Now, that being said, for the band internally, that time comes way earlier.
Okay.
We only release the albums every 2 years, but we start working on the next album, give or take a year after the premiere of the previous
Okay.
album. So let's say, like with this upcoming album, it comes out in February, give or take a year after. So next February, give or take, we will already start just putting together some ideas that we've been collecting throughout the year, because we do put ideas down all the time.
Mm.
Maybe putting our thoughts together, or planning, because we always plan the year in advance. We have to, because even the touring, if you want your tour not to overlap with other
Sure.
bands or to overlap with other important releases, people that work with you in your team, they are very good in taking care of that and letting you know, hey, for example, we say a year from now we will definitely be ready with the new material, for example, and that's when they sit down and all together find the best release date, so it doesn't interfere with other bands. They do the same for other bands, so they don't interfere with our release. So every
Sure.
band has its own little bit of attention from people. It's very difficult when in the same day or in the same even week too many albums come out, or too
Sure.
many songs. And I am not a big expert here. That's why we work with professionals that
Right.
know all the ups and downs of all this, like algorithms, and what are the best days of the week for people to actually click and listen to your material, what is the best hour of the day. They know all that, and it's
Mm.
fascinating. You have to think even about those small things, if you want to at least have a chance, or give a chance to people to listen to you.
Yeah, I completely agree, especially in the time that we're living now. There's so many albums and so there's so much music coming out that you have to, as you say, plan it well so you don't interfere with each other. But it's interesting
Exactly.
because you say the band is already there before the album comes out and stuff. So
Yes.
do you have like a notebook, or maybe that's too old school? You have a telephone or something where you take notes and you.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Oh, I wish you could see this table. All right, so I have a weekly planner.
Okay.
I have a small notebook with other ideas and things to do. I have other stuff here where I do a lot of Patreon, social media, ideas for
Okay.
songs, ideas for YouTube channel, all kinds of things written down, all kinds of different notebooks and reminders. But of course, also that's besides what I keep on my phone, obviously, because the phone is something we keep with us all the time, and it's handy. It's not like I can bring all these notebooks with me
Sure.
if I am running errands or something. But trust me, sometimes a good idea comes to you even when you just do normal things like running an errand and buying some groceries. You can, like, something reminds you of something and you put it down as an idea. So that's why we try our best to always put ideas down. Of course, it's different for music. It's not like you carry your guitar with you and you can
Sure.
just play it and record it, or you can like write the notes in your phone. It's quite a little bit different. However, with all the gadgets and programs that we have nowadays, for example, the song Never to Return from this album that came out a couple of months ago, it was composed on, I believe, as simple as GarageBand, the main idea. Yeah, on tour by Vidic. He was just fooling around and he's like, I like this. I'll see how it will sound with actual instruments. And I even remember him showing me that part. You know what I mean? It's like sometimes, you know, when people say, no, but I need the perfect environment, probably for some people it's like that. But for the majority, and I'm sorry to break your heart, it's just an excuse. You can write and compose with no, how to say, no matter what tools you have under your hands or available at the moment. You just have to actually do it.
Yeah, I remember a documentary with Jack White, and I think he said something similar where he said, everybody wants everything to be easy, but he likes it to be hard, and he likes to challenge himself in ways with cheap equipment or these kind of things. And as you say, if
It's
you have a good idea.
See, that is another perspective right there. You know, some people do create better when they have limited tools and they don't have so many options, you know, like, because it's like when you know, it's like when a lot of people make fun of people that have too much clothes, right?
Sure.
And you have a lot of clothes and you still feel like you don't have anything to wear, and you still spend a lot of time choosing what to wear. Now, if you only had 10 options instead of 100, for example, or 50, those 10 options are easier to choose from. It's not like you can magically have something, you know, fall from the sky. You work with what you have. And that's what our ancestor did in survival mode. And that's what, hell, you know, all the musicians back in the day when there was no computers and there was no programs and there was nothing like that. That's how they would do. Bands used to record albums playing live all together in one room. Try and put a band to in a recording studio to play all together. It's gonna be a failure. I know, because we tried, and I am 100% like, the level of preparation you have to do that, to make that happen, and to record a song from the first take spotless, like without stopping and anything, is so hard. But if that's the only opportunity you have, and that's the only way you have, you will sit there and learn, and you will make it happen. But nowadays we have so many gadgets, right? But the more we have, the more it feels like we give excuses not to do something. And it's funny because, hey, I'm not perfect either. Like in different scenarios, I act the same way, just because I have too many options and I can't even choose, you know? It's just, I guess, I don't know. It depends on the situation or whatever. But this is how we make it work for ourselves when it comes to recording. Yeah.
And what I find interesting, because the band has been, you've been making music for, since 2007, 2008 or something. So it's been a very gradual upward trajectory, I would say. So this is kind of with what you say, you use what you have available. And do you notice now that as things are starting to take off, that you become a little bit more successful, you get a bigger audience, do you notice that certain things become different or easier?
Yes, but also more complicated.
Okay.
So every level of your success, right? Every level, even the very beginning. And I say that because, in my opinion, recording a song is a success. Filming a music video and putting it out there, even if it's just your first one, is a success. There are all these little steps, are little successes and little you know, levels of where the band is. And I think with every little success, comes ups and downs. It's like that in life too. So
Sure.
certain things become easier, certain things become you understand better, and certain things you get a lot of more help with because of the people that work with you. But also, the more people work with you, the harder it is to keep everybody on one page. There's like, imagine like a big family and a small family. The chances of a drama or whatever, just like, let's call it drama, right?
Sure.
I'm not saying there is drama, but the chances of a drama in a family with bigger, more members is higher than the smaller, right? So that is a challenge where you also have to learn how to work with certain people, so to achieve the same goal. And certain things you have to change about yourself as well, because these are new things that you didn't learn and didn't know before. Maybe you have to learn a skill, maybe I don't know. It's very interesting because and that's just one example, but there's
Sure.
so much more. You start being friends with a lot of musicians because you share the stage more often with like musicians that, especially some of them that maybe you even heard of growing up and in certain bands, and you have a certain type of respect. With knowing more people, again, there's more things that are going on, some things that are out of your control. Just because there's more people is a different level,
Sure.
and different levels come with their own challenges. So it would be a lie for me to say that the bigger your project gets, the easier it gets on the musicians. It's just different. Every step is just very different. For example, this year we started working with a new people, addition
Sure.
to what we already had, and we are only hoping for the best. But it is a next step with more people involved, with more probably events involved. So looking forward to that. But of course, it is going to be challenging for everybody. So you have
Yeah,
to be
and
patient. Yeah.
no, certainly. And talking about change, I think this is perhaps a good example. Alice has joined the band. So how
Yes.
is that? How is that? Has that? I don't know exactly when she came in the band and how far
Yes.
you were with writing and everything, but has that kind of affected the album in any way?
No,
Okay.
no, because the when we chose Alice out of a handful of bass players that we were auditioning, we already were recording the album.
Okay.
So after composing, so next level after composing. Now, as soon as she stepped in, and it was obvious that we like the vibe and we want to give this a fair try, we did the first music video where she was part of it, and we went for it right away. So then we did include her in recording of the bass. So she did physically record some of the songs on the new album, probably even half songs of the album, like only the bass, obviously.
Sure.
But I'm not 100% sure of how many, and it doesn't even matter.
Right.
Vidic is the main composer of the music for Infected Rain, and it's always been that way, even before Alice joined. The other members always would garnish and work on it. Sometimes they would bring a great idea, and it would be like a whole half a song fully written, let's say, by somebody else, but then worked on. But the majority and the big part of composing is always comes always from Vidic, and I trust him that way. I love his ideas, and we all do, but I feel like I know him the longest out of
Sure.
everybody. We used to be friends. I know him since I was 16, which is a
Okay.
bigger, now the biggest part of my life. More than half of my life I know him.
Sure.
He's always been like that, even with other bands that he was in before Infected Rain. So basically what I'm trying to say is that the new member did not impact the sound or the style of this upcoming album. However, she did help very much the energy, the atmosphere, the visuals. She is very eager to do what she is doing. She's very talented, and and she has often really cool ideas about certain things, and she's good with social media, and she helps out with that a lot, so we stepped our game up a little bit there as well. And besides that, I think she gave some sort of balance to the band, especially for live shows, which we all are enjoying very much. 2 women, 2 men on stage, a lot of space for activities.
In the immortal lines of Step Brothers, so much room for activities.
I know, right?
It's a movie reference now, but
yeah.
But that's interesting because you mentioned Vadim is kind of the one who writes everything, and you mentioned earlier Never to Return. He kind of showed you that idea. So when he shows you something like that, what goes through your mind? Do you listen to the music? Do you immediately think of lyrics or something, melodies to put on it?
Depends on the situation. Okay. So if it is something that is just a very raw, almost like a skeleton of an idea, not even of an entire song, I try not to think about anything. I only am fully invested in what I hear. Now, in depending on what the idea is behind the song. For example, Vidik often tells me, and here I think maybe after that I will do like a very long like break where there's going to be only electronics, or here I'm thinking maybe to go like really heavy after this like slow and gentle introduction to the song. So when he tells me those things, I already have some ideas, but that doesn't say that I know what the song is going to be about. I just like melody wise, I often think, oh, here probably doing this will complement the vocals, or here probably if I do this with vocals, I will complement this instrument, which is so unique here. So I think about these things. However, the boys do tend to show me a more shaped version of a song. They work by themselves more without including me on the songs, and then when sometimes the song is almost done when they show it to me, like the idea, they say like very small things will change there, like we want it that way. Or sometimes they show me and it's almost done, we are going to still tweak a few things here, but we wanted to see what your ideas for vocals are first, because we don't want things to interfere. So it's all, we take each song separately and we give it its time. That's why we start working on an album quite early, like almost a year before we release it, because we need to deliver the entire album with the songs, all the artwork and everything that is connected to the album itself. We have to give in advance to the label, many months in advance. The reason for that is they need time to create a good promo for this album, a good, press release, good everything. They need to go through it. Often they listen to the album and they give us inputs where they think this song would be a great single or something like that. We often discuss things and we share with them what our visual is for like the music videos and for what songs, and they say their opinion. It takes a while. So imagine, that being said, like 3 or 4 months before the release, we have to already have everything delivered. That gives us another, at least, I think, 6 months to work on the album. So give or take, a little less than a year is when we start like slowly working. That doesn't mean that we close our door and we don't get out of the house or don't tour. In between, we also tour. We never take big breaks like that. Not really. We have to, a band needs to tour to be constantly on people's mind, because like, okay, your album came out and people will listen to it for a little bit, and then something else will come out and their focus will be on other bands. But if you continue with shows and stuff, even though they listen to other albums and other bands, they already listened to yours and they will be like, hell yeah, I want to hear those songs live, I'll be there. But if you don't give that opportunity to people, then they will just slowly forget about your new release and switch to the other band. at least, hey, listen, I'm pretty open about that, and I know I'm saying and I'm talking a lot about the inside job, so-called, but I think everybody should know how much time and how many things are involved into releasing an album. I think
No,
people should know that.
I agree, and I think there's a lot of misconceptions about music as well, because people just see the album or see somebody touring and think it's very easy, or it's just, but the hard work that goes into it, it needs to be said.
Yeah.
Because I do want to ask you about the tour with Amaranth and Dragonforce, but the idea, because you say, okay, the songs start to get fleshed out over a certain number of weeks or months. When did you kind of notice that some of the songs were dealing with the concept of time and the concept of how we remember things and those kind of things? Because I
I
don't
think
think it's
I realized that quite early into
okay.
recording, quite early, because Dying Light was right away the first song.
Okay.
And it was actually the first song we worked on. And then like slowly with the idea and the atmosphere and the what are the other songs, it was actually Vidic's idea even before we recorded fully all the songs. So there were probably still 2 or 3 songs that he still didn't know what they are going to be about, because they never know in advance. Sometimes, hell, I don't even know in advance until I sit down, feel the music properly, and I know what emotion can go well with this music. So I think he said that it would be cool, like in so far with what we have, the image of what he has for the artwork would be something with sand and something with, like, I don't know, maybe in a desert, or maybe some sort of completely different planet where there's nothing else but sand, or like some like fantasy almost type of world, but that could exist, maybe a parallel world, we don't know, like some ideas like that. And he had a couple ideas, and I right away liked time, just based on what we had at the moment already. I remember right away liking the idea time. I like how simplistic it is, how minimalistic it is, because I feel like often we forget that there's so much beauty in minimalism. And literally, Time is the name of the album, which its main concept is time. So no double how to say, double meaning or play with words, in your face, time. And this album is about give or take time and everything that comes with it, because so much comes with it, right? So now that doesn't mean that each song has the same theme.
Sure.
However, yeah, we have songs about so many different things. But I feel like if you can imagine for a second in the detective movies and the wall of suspects, and there's like the red thread that goes to different places, I see that red thread that is the time itself intertwining and going in and out almost every single song. Now, some songs have it maybe only a little bit, some songs has it a lot going there, but this red thread of the concept of time does really and literally go through each song, 12 songs on the album, and brings together a whole idea that no matter what we talk about, it can be life, love, work, friendship, I don't know, some positive message in the song, or some really negative, a desperate message in the song, or a very personal and emotional message in the song. It is all connected with the time and the importance we give to those things, and how much time we spend, our precious time we spend for things that should not matter.
One thing, I have one quick question about the video for Because I Let You, because what was that like for you to film, especially the end of it?
It was
watching
very
it, it's very heart-wrenching to see that. So I was wondering what it was like for you.
It was very challenging. It was challenging to record that song too, to be honest. I had difficulties recording it. hell, I have difficulties rehearsing it right now, getting ready for the shows. It's a very strong and personal message in that song. And I've had songs like this before with Infected Rain, and I've had songs that I had, you know, very, very hard time recording. I would need like an entire day and try over tomorrow, because when you are hurt emotionally, often as a singer especially, it's hard for you to continue singing, because this invisible stone rock in your throat of like of emotion keeps you from feeling free and using your instrument properly. And it's so frustrating, because, you know, sometimes you wish you could just talk about it, but you can't, because it blocks you. Now, with time, when certain things are sang over and over again, said over and over again, with time you heal from that. At least I do. Maybe not everybody likes the treatment of fire with fire. I don't like it either. I hate it, but it works. It works so well for me. So with time, I embrace these songs, no matter how difficult they are for me, because in time, with the amount of times we play it live or rehearse it, I get to accept this pain, familiarize with it, and love it for whatever it is. And that's the beauty of what music does to me specifically. So that's why I insist and I push through, and I try to, you know, take my time in breathing and do it again, never give up. Now, I did know that I might cry during the filming of Because I Let You, just in general because of its meaning. And I did, you know, also talk about it with my musicians. And I remember Vidic, he's the director and editor for our music videos lately. And he said, listen, if you're gonna cry, it's fine. Don't worry. Don't, like, it's fine. It's okay. If that's what comes out naturally, whatever, we'll see what we can do with that. But the things escalated a little bit to the next level. And I think many factors were involved. For example, we were actually filming in a real mortuary, and I was laying on a real cold porcelain mortuary table. And the makeup artist for special effects was working on my torso for probably 5 hours or 6. And so I was laying on this really uncomfortable, very emotionally and on the energy level different, right? I tried to disconnect and laugh about certain things with the makeup artist and not think about it, but I'm sure the energy of the room and all of that, together with the insanity of emotions that come from this song, for me specifically, they played a big role into what happened in this music video. Now, I had a very serious panic attack because of what I was going through. I wasn't able to sing out loud the words that I was supposed to, and that also was so frustrating that I thought that I ruined the entire music video, because that was only my second take filming. On the first take, I cried a little because, I mean, just on the first take, I had involuntary tears come, you know, dripping on from my face, but I still felt in control. But with the second take, I couldn't. It was, the camera was right above me. Almost nobody else was around me, at least for me to see. I knew people were behind there, watching on a bigger screen what the camera guy was doing. I felt so guilty about all of that. We only had that day to film, and I had to also prepare for a different look after. And then it hit me all at once. All these 3 big factors hit me so hard all at once that I couldn't breathe and I couldn't stop. And that was for minutes. We do have that entire take on camera. And, you know, while editing, we decided to leave a big part of it and to just finish the song like that. We will maybe eventually post that whole take on our YouTube channel or something for people to see, because I know a lot of people think it was done for the art, or it was just acting, which is fine by me. I don't need to prove anything to anybody.
Sure.
But unfortunately, it was something very real I went through, and I chose to embrace it and to give it to people, to expose myself emotionally that much, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I think even though it's very obviously very difficult for you to go through that and to have that, but it's very beautiful at the same time, I think, to be
Thank you.
able to see that. And you're going on tour with Amaranth and Dragonforce.
Yeah.
And from what I can tell, the new songs have so far been received really well. So what are you expecting from that tour? And those are two incredible bands as well. So
Yeah, absolutely. We are excited because we, as of lately, we've tried to perform on the same stage with bands that are quite different than us, and with bands that maybe can bring a different type of audience, just because we do want to have the opportunity to share our music with
sure.
bigger audience, with more people. And when we actually were supposed to go on tour with Amaranth before COVID, and then because of COVID, it was postponed for a while. And when they were finally ready to do that tour, we already had other plans, because other offers were just there first, and we accepted it because we didn't know. And they came back to us and tried again. And I'm so happy this is happening, because again, we were supposed to already have
Sure.
this tour a while back in Europe. It would have been only with Amaranth and some other bands, I believe, at the time. I don't remember. But right now, it's Dragonforce and Amaranthe tour. And we are excited. It's not going to be a very long tour, but pretty intense. Almost no days off. I believe only 2 or 3 days off. But it's going to be really big venues, and we are so excited. A little nervous too, but in a good, positive way, to just share our music with a new audience.
That's awesome. Elena, may I thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me.
No, thank you. Thank you for the good and interesting questions.